The Forbidden's jungle, the sky over planet Drakora-7 was always dark. Thick green clouds covered the sun. Tall, sharp trees whispered in the wind. Deep inside this jungle, every sound was a warning, and every shadow could hide death. No one from the Zirari tribe entered the Forbidden's jungle, not even the warriors. It was the home of the deadliest beast known in the galaxy, the Zarn, a creature with skin like stone, teeth like steel, and a hunger that never ended. Even ships flying over the jungle sometimes vanished, but today a young alien girl named Kalia stood at the edge of that jungle. Her purple skin was covered in tribal paint. Her silver eyes narrowed as she stepped between the vines. She wasn't supposed to be here. Kalia was only a scout. She had no armor, just a small stun spear and a scanner. She had heard strange signals near this jungle. Something unnatural. Something human. She moved quietly, every step careful. The air smelled of wet earth and old blood. She checked her scanner again. It showed heat signatures. One life form, not moving, not animal. She blinked. Could it really be a human? She whispered to herself. The Zirari had heard of humans. Dangerous, clever, unpredictable. But why would one be here on a death planet? Kalia crept closer. The trees grew thicker. Then suddenly, the jungle opened into a small clearing. Her heart stopped. There was a man sitting near a fire. His clothes were torn. His face had cuts. His hair was messy and wet from the jungle mist. But he looked calm. He was cooking something over the fire. Then she saw it, and her breath caught in her throat. A piece of Zarn meat was roasting on the flame. It couldn't be. She looked again. The shape, the color, the bones beside him. It was the Zarn. And the human had killed it. No one had ever killed a Zarn and lived to tell the story. The Zirari's strongest warriors had tried. All had died screaming. Kalia crouched in the bushes, frozen. Her eyes wide. Her mind racing. What kind of creature? Is this human? She thought. She watched in silence. The human turned the meat with a stick. He cut a piece and ate it, like it was normal food. Not the flesh of a legendary monster. She wanted to run, to scream, but she stayed. Watching. Then, something strange happened. The human looked up and stared directly at her hiding place. Her heart jumped. Had he seen her? He stood slowly. His movements were calm but strong. He didn't reach for a weapon. Instead, he picked up a second piece of meat and held it up toward her. An invitation. Kalia stepped out of the bushes slowly, stun spear ready. Stay back, she said firmly. Her voice shook a little. The human didn't move. No harm, he said. His voice was deep, tired, but clear. Kalia's hands tightened on her spear. You killed the Zarn? He nodded. How? She asked. He looked at the fire. I was hungry. Kalia couldn't believe her ears. You killed the deadliest creature on this planet. Because you were hungry? The human nodded again. Kalia was speechless. She had trained for years to survive. Her tribe worshipped nature's power. They feared the jungle. They feared the Zarn. And this man, this human, had made it dinner. What's your name? She asked. Eli, he replied. Eli Maddox. Kalia lowered her spear just a little. She was still unsure. I am Kalia of the Zirari, she said. You shouldn't be here. Too late for that, Eli replied. He gave a weak smile. Ship left without me. Kalia looked at the fire. Again, the smell of roasted meat filled the air. It was strange, wild, wrong, but something about it was also powerful. You're not afraid, she said slowly. Eli looked her in the eyes. No, he said. I used to be. But then I realized fear doesn't help you survive. Kalia's spear lowered even more. In her tribe, only the strong earned respect. But what was strength? Muscles? Weapons? Or was it something else, something in the mind? She didn't know yet, but one thing was clear. This human had changed everything, and this jungle was no longer forbidden. The beast killer Kazuya could not sleep that night. Back in her tree shelter at the edge of the jungle, she kept seeing the human's calm face and the roasted Zarn meat. The smell still burned in her nose. Her people believed the Zarn was death itself, a spirit of nature sent to punish the arrogant. But that man, Eli Maddox, had chewed death like it was lunch. Maybe it was a trick, she whispered to herself. Maybe it was already dying, or poisoned. But deep inside, she knew it wasn't that. So the next morning, before the tribe woke, she went back. The clearing was empty. No smoke, no fire. Just bones, huge Zarn bones, clean and split open. Something inside her twisted. Fear? No, it was something stranger. Curiosity mixed with respect. She scanned the bones with her tool. No explosives, no plasma burns. The kill wasn't clean. It was personal. Then behind her, a sound, a low growl. She spun around fast. Not one, not two, three Zarns. Smaller than the last, but still monsters. Sharp teeth, thick claws, skin like black armor. She had no time to run. Her spear was weak. Her tribe would never reach her in time. But then a loud whistle from above. One of the beasts turned its head, too late. A giant wooden spike shot down from the trees, impaled its eye. The second beast stepped forward. Snap. A hidden rope yanked its leg into the air, slamming it into a spiked branch. The third Zarn roared and charged. Kalia fell back. Eli dropped from the trees like a ghost. He had no armor, just jungle vines on his arms and sharp stone knives. With a roar of his own, he stabbed deep under the creature's jaw, slicing the soft tissue. The beast cried out, blood spraying the leaves. It staggered, then collapsed. Kalia sat on the ground, speechless. Eli stood above the beast, breathing heavy. You followed me, he said calmly, wiping his blade. Kalia nodded slowly. Her mouth was dry. You built traps? Yes. With sticks and patience. Kalia stood up. Her heart was still racing. You killed another Zarn, just now, he shrugged. They came too close. She looked at him like he wasn't real. My people trained for years to fight these beasts. They wear steel suits, carry energy rifles. They never win. You wear vines and carry rocks. Eli looked her in the eye. The jungle gives you everything if you listen. That line, so simple. But it hit Kalia like lightning. In her tribe, warriors force nature to obey. But this human, he cooperated with it. He became part of it. That's how he killed the Apex Predator, not through power. Through understanding. She walked to one of the fallen beasts. Its neck had deep gashes. She touched the skin. This is real, she whispered. You are the beast killer. Eli didn't smile. He looked up at the trees. Don't call me that, he said. Why? Because I didn't come to kill. Then why are you here? He was silent for a while. My team left during a storm. I was outside hunting food. They thought I was dead. So they jumped to hyperspace. I was alone. No comms, no weapons. Just this planet. Kalia listened carefully. I thought I'd die here, he continued. But I didn't. I adapted. Kalia looked around. The vines, the traps, the bones, the fire pit. All hand-built. You survived with nothing. Not nothing, Eli corrected. I had this. He pointed to his head. She smiled for the first time. You are strange human. You came back, he replied. So are you. They both laughed a little. Then silence returned. Kalia stepped closer. Come with me. Let my tribe meet. They need to see this. Eli looked away. They'll try to kill me. Maybe, or maybe, they'll see what I see. Eli didn't answer. He knelt down, cut some Zarn meat, and handed her a piece. Kalia stared at it. Last time she only tasted it, just a bite. But this time, she chewed, swallowed, and her eyes widened. Strength, fire, energy. It felt like power flowed into her bones. I see now why you feast, she whispered. Eli nodded. That's why they fear it. Kalia looked at him, a decision forming in her mind. This planet feared the Zarn, she said, but now it fears you. Eli looked up, eyes serious. And you? He asked. Do you fear me? She paused, then shook her head. No, I fear what happens when my people meet you. Contact with the tribe Akelia had never broken a tribal law before. But that morning, as she walked through the jungle with a human by her side, she knew she was doing something dangerous. The law was clear. Never bring outsiders to the tribe. Especially not into the sacred Moonroot Valley, where the Zerari lived in harmony with their ancestors' spirits. But Kalia had seen things no Zerari had ever seen. She had witnessed a man with no tech, no armor, and no tribe defeat the jungle's most feared beasts. Not once, but twice. That wasn't just survival. It was power. Eli walked beside her silently, one hand resting on the stone blade at his waist. The jungle around them seemed to grow quieter with every step. Even the birds stopped singing, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Are you sure about this? Eli asked quietly. No, Kalia answered, but I believe it must be done. As they approached the edge of the valley, Zerari scouts dropped down from the trees. Kalia, one of them shouted. You return with... What is that? Their spears pointed instantly at Ele. The human raised his hand slowly. He's not a threat, Kalia said quickly. He killed the Zarn twice. The scouts laughed. No one kills a Zarn with sticks. He did, Kalia said sharply. I saw it. I felt the beast's blood. One of the scouts moved closer and sniffed Eli's shoulder. He pulled back suddenly. She's telling the truth. The scent of the Zarn, it's on him. The other scouts looked at each other. Take them to the warden, the leader ordered. Now. The tribe's great hall was made of woven vines, smooth crystal, and living trees. The high warden sat on a throne of stone wrapped in glowing roots. His eyes were sharp, and his voice carried power. You bring a human here, Kalia? He said coldly. A hunter of beasts? He's more than that, Kalia replied, bowing. He understands the jungle. He works with it. And he survived where we have failed for generations. The warden's gaze turned to Eli. You speak our tongue, outsider? A little, Eli said. Enough to say I come in peace. The warden narrowed his eyes, then explained this. How did you kill the Zarn? Eli didn't speak. Instead, he walked to the center of the hall, took off the small pouch from his belt, and slowly poured out its contents. Claws, teeth, bones. A broken fang the size of a dagger. Gasps spread through the crowd. I used fire, Eli said simply. I used the trees. I used patience. I didn't fight the jungle. I listened to it. The warden stood. And why did you come to us? I didn't, Eli answered. She did. All eyes turned to Kalia. She didn't flinch. I brought him, she said proudly. Because we are blind. We have machines, weapons, shields, but we never understood the jungle. We only feared it. He did not. Murmurs grew louder. Some Zerari nodded. Others whispered angrily. A warrior stepped forward, General Vrak, a battle-scarred brute with glowing armor. This is foolish. He roared. The human is not a god. He is not chosen. He is a trick. Maybe he poisoned the beast. Maybe he brought sickness to it. Eli stepped forward calmly. Then test me, he said. Send me into the jungle again. Choose a beast. I will face it. With no armor, no guns. The crowd gasped again. Vrak sneered. You would die. Then let me die, Eli replied. Eyes sharp. But if I return alive, you listen. The warden raised a hand. Enough. He looked between Kalia and Eli. There's truth in both your words. The jungle speaks to those who listen, but it also kills those who don't respect it. We cannot decide this with talk. He turned to Vrak. Choose a beast, one that none of us have ever tamed. Vrak smiled wickedly. The Hydra lion. A creature with 4 heads and poison breath. Even our airships avoid it. The warden looked back at Eli. You will go tomorrow at dawn, alone. You have 3 days. If you return with proof of victory, we will listen. If not. Kalia stepped beside him. You will not return at all, she finished. Eli nodded once. I accept. That night, Kalia brought him food and herbs near the jungles. Edge, you don't have to do this, she whispered. I know, Eli said, but if I run now, your people will never grow. She looked at him, really looked. You are not like anyone I've met. I'm just a man, Eli said. But in places like this, sometimes that's enough. The hunter's trial the jungle was never silent, but this morning, it felt like the world was holding its breath. Eli Maddox stood at the edge of the trees, barefoot, shirt torn, carrying only a stone knife, a coil of vine rope, and a pouch of herbs Kalia had given him. Behind him, the Zerari watched from the cliffs, their glowing eyes full of doubt. And fear. In front of him was death. The Hydra lion was no ordinary predator. It had 4 serpent-like heads, claws like blades, and breath that melted bone. It was a living nightmare, a creature even the Zarn avoided. And now, Eli had 3 days to find it, face it, and return alive. Kalia stood silently at the ridge, her heart pounding. She whispered to herself, you don't have to win. Just come back. Eli didn't look back. He stepped into the jungle. Day 1. The trees closed around him like a living wall. Roots twisted like snakes. Fog clung to his skin. But Eli walked without fear. He had studied this jungle, slept in it, bled in it. He knew. The Hydra lion didn't stalk prey. It waited. So he became the prey. He moved like a wounded animal. He left false tracks. He crushed leaves soaked in his blood to lure it. He built traps from bone and vine, silent, deadly, primitive. He hung meat near poison plants, testing the wind. That night, he didn't sleep. He climbed into the trees and tied himself to the branches. Down below, something moved in the dark, slow and heavy. It was watching him. Day 2. Eli found the first sign, scorched earth. A ring of black where the Hydra lion had released its acid breath. Bones lay nearby, half melted. One skull still had a helmet attached. Zerari tech. They had tried before. They had failed. Eli crouched and ran his hand over the soil. Still warm. It's close, he whispered. He moved fast now. No time to waste. He found a tall cliff with a narrow ledge. There, he placed sharpened stakes dipped in fire ant sap. He smeared the rocks with Zarn fat to create a scent trail. He dug pits, wove net traps from thorn vines, and positioned them all in a single kill zone. It was a puzzle. A deadly puzzle. But the beast was smart. So Eli had to be smarter. That night, as the moonlight fell through the trees, the jungle suddenly went silent. No birds, no insects, not even wind. Then, the growl. Low, wet, ancient. It came from all directions. At once. Eli turned and saw glowing green eyes in the darkness. Then, 4 heads rose above the brush, steam curling from their jaws. The Hydra lion had arrived. Day 3. Eli ran. Not from fear, but by design. The Hydra lion chased him through the jungle, smashing trees, acid burning the ground. Its multiple heads snapped, roared, and hissed. It was hungry, angry, and confused. It couldn't understand how its prey wasn't afraid. Eli wasn't prey. He led the beast through the traps. The first net fell missed. The second trap snagged one of the legs only. For a moment, But then came the spikes driven deep into soft neck flesh. One head screamed, spewing acid into the air. Eli jumped from a tree into the pit he had carved himself. The beast lunged in after him, only to land on fire ant sap and spear points. It howled in pain, rolling and thrashing. Eli crawled out, blood on his face, hands raw. But he wasn't done. He took the rope, ran under the beast, threw the loop around a neck, climbed up its back, dodging snapping jaws. Then, with a final roar, he drove his knife between the creature's shoulder bones, where Kalia's map said its heart was. The Hydra lion collapsed. Breathing stopped. The jungle was silent again. At sunset, the valley gates opened as one figure appeared through the mist, blood-covered, limping. But alive, Kalia ran to him, behind her. Even the warriors were silent. Eli dropped a massive tooth the size of his arm onto the stone floor. Hydra lion, he said simply. The warden stepped forward slowly. Even his voice seemed smaller than usual. You faced it alone and lived. Eli didn't answer. He was too tired. Kalia helped him stay standing. Her voice was proud, steady. You asked for proof. Here he is. The warden nodded slowly. The entire valley knelt. Even General Vrak dropped to one knee. Eli Maddox, the beast killer, the outsider, the man with no armor, had done the impossible. The challenge. Eli Maddox didn't want to be a legend, but legends are not born by choice. After dragging the Hydra lion's fang into the Zerari Valley, Eli became more than just a survivor. He became a symbol of fear, strength, and something worse, change. The elders whispered. The children stared. The warriors bowed in silence. Even the birds flew differently when he walked past. Kalia noticed it first. The shift, the weight in the air. Some in the tribe smiled at Eli's victory, but others gritted their teeth. One of them was General Vrak. That night, a feast was held in Eli's honor. Fires burned bright, meat sizzled. Drums echoed into the jungle. Eli sat at the highest table beside the warden, Kalia beside him. She wore the ceremonial white cloth of respect, a rare sight for someone so young. Her eyes didn't leave the crowd. She felt something wrong. In the silence between cheers, Eli was quiet too. Why do you look uneasy? She asked. I've seen this before, he answered. When people smile too much and speak too little. He didn't touch the food. Kalia followed his eyes down to where General Vrak stood, laughing with other armored warriors, but something about the way his hand stayed near his belt was off. She leaned closer to Eli. You think he'll strike? Not yet, Eli said calmly. He's waiting for something. And he was right. Later that night, after the feast ended, the warden stood before the tribe. Eli Maddox has passed the trial of the jungle. He has done what no Zerari has ever done. He is not our enemy. He is our ally. The crowd murmured. Some clapped. Some did not. Then General Vrak stepped forward. His armor clicked with each heavy step. I do not question the human strength, he said, bowing, but I question his place. The warden raised an eyebrow. Explain. Vrak turned to the tribe. The jungle speaks to him, yes. He killed great beasts, yes. But so what? Does one victory make him one of us? Should we hand him power? Let him walk freely in sacred places? Sit with our leaders? He turned to Eli. You say you're not a god, yet you let them worship you. Eli stood up slowly. I never asked for worship, he said. Only a chance to survive. Vrak's eyes narrowed. Then survive this. In one motion, he threw down a challenge stick, a tribal weapon used to demand ritual combat. Gasps filled the air. The warden shouted, Vrak, you can't. I can, Vrak roared. By ancient law, he is an outsider. And no outsider can walk among us unless he survives a warrior's challenge. Kalia stepped forward. That law hasn't been used in 100 years. Vrak smiled. Then let's make history. Eli looked down at the stick. Then at Kalia. What happens if I win? He asked. You gain full rights. You become one of us, she said quietly. And if I lose? Her voice dropped lower. He doesn't plan to let you live. The duel was set for dawn. No weapons. No traps, just strength, speed, and will. But Eli wasn't afraid. He had fought beasts that did not think. Vrak, on the other hand, was clever and proud. Kalia visited Eli that night as he sat alone beside the jungle edge. "Why did you accept?" she asked. "Because backing down means fear," he said. "And fear feeds power to people like him." She sat beside him. "You don't belong here," she whispered. "I don't belong anywhere." She paused. "You do now." At dawn, the tribe gathered in the circle of bones, an ancient arena made from the skeletons of jungle creatures. Eli stood shirtless, his body scarred and tired. Vrak entered fully armored, sharp gauntlets, reinforced shoulders, glowing eyes. "That's cheating," someone whispered. But Eli didn't complain. He raised his hands, empty. The warden raised his staff. "Begin." Vrak charged like a tank. Eli dodged, rolled, grabbed sand, and threw it into Vrak's eyes. The crowd gasped. Vrak roared, swinging blindly. Eli ducked, jabbed his elbow into Vrak's ribs. The sound of metal cracking echoed through the arena. But Vrak was strong. He grabbed Eli's leg, threw him into the bone wall. Dust exploded. Eli groaned, but stood up again. Again and again, Vrak struck, and again. Eli rose. Kalia watched, her heart pounding. "He's not fighting to win," she whispered. "He's fighting to show something." In the final moment, Eli trapped Vrak's arm between two bones, twisted his body, and slammed the general to the ground. Silence. Then the warden raised his hand. "Enough." Vrak lay defeated. Eli stood, barely, but he had won. Revelation after the duel. The valley was no longer the same. Eli Maddox, the outsider, had defeated the tribe's strongest warrior with no armor, no weapons, only his mind, his body, and his will. The battle was short, brutal, and unforgettable. The Zerari whispered his name now, not as a stranger, not as a guest, but as something more. Children followed Eli wherever he walked. Elders offered food without being asked. Warriors lowered their heads when he passed. They called him by new names: the Bone Walker, the one who listens to the jungle, the man who tamed death. Eli didn't want their worship. He didn't understand it. But he didn't stop it either, because he could feel something changing. Not just in the tribe, but inside himself. Kalia watched closely. She saw how the people looked at Eli now. Not as a man, but as a legend. He wasn't trying to take power, but power was following him. And not everyone liked that. In the shadows of the valley, deep beneath the sacred tree roots, a group of silent warriors met in secret. Their leader, Vrak, still limping from the duel, held a piece of broken bone in his hand, the one Eli used to beat him. "He's not Zerari," Vrak growled. "He doesn't follow our gods. He doesn't bleed our blood. And yet our people cheer his name." One of the younger warriors whispered, "But he's strong. He beat the Hydra Lion. He survived the jungle." Vrak's eyes burned. "And that's exactly why he's dangerous." They planned in darkness, that not just to remove Eli, but to use him, then destroy him. Meanwhile, the High Warden summoned Kalia privately. "You brought him here," he said, staring into the sacred flame. "Do you understand what you've done?" Kalia stood tall. "I saw truth in him, and I still do." The warden nodded slowly. "Truth can change the world, but change always brings pain. The people are dividing. Some see him as a gift, others as a curse." Kalia stepped forward. "So which is he?" The warden looked up. "That is not my decision. It is yours." That evening, Eli sat alone on the cliff edge overlooking the jungle. The wind was cold, the sky dark. Kalia joined him quietly, her voice soft. "They're afraid of you. I know. They think you want to rule. I don't." She paused. "But would you, if they asked?" Eli didn't answer right away. I never wanted power, he said finally. I just wanted to live, to survive. But now, I'm part of something. Something I don't fully understand. Kalia looked at him. You've changed more than just the jungle, Eli. You've changed us. He turned to her. And what about you? She didn't blink. You changed me first. The next morning, a ceremony was held beneath the great tree. Eli was called forward to receive a sacred mark, the mark of kinship, a rare symbol given only to those truly accepted by the tribe. The warden held the glowing stone. Do you accept this gift? Before Eli could answer, boom! A deafening explosion shook the ground. Smoke, screams, fire. Everyone turned. Warriors in red masks stormed the ceremony. Weapons drawn, Zirari rebels. Vrak stood at the front, his voice loud and clear. You trusted the outsider, he roared. Now see the price. Kalia pulled Eli behind a pillar as energy blasts flew past them. It's a coup, she said. He's leading a takeover. Eli stood, grabbing a broken spear. No, it's more than that, he said. It's war over ideas. He looked into Kalia's eyes. They don't fear me because I'm strong. They fear me because I showed them something new. She nodded, gripping her own blade. Then let's show them again. In the smoke and fire, the sacred place of the Zirari was no longer just a home. It had become a battlefield. And the human who once walked quietly through the jungle was now standing between the old world and the new. The feast of beast smoke covered the sacred valley like a storm cloud. Fires danced in the trees. Shouts and blasts echoed through the hills. The Zirari tribe, once proud, once united, was now at war with itself. At the heart of it all stood a human. Eli Maddox. His shirt was torn. His hands were burned. His eyes were clear. Beside him stood Kalia, blade in hand, her body shaking, but not with fear, with purpose. This was never about me, Eli said. It was about the future. They just don't want to let go of the past. Kalia looked at him. Then let's show them what the future looks like. They ran toward the fire. The rebels had taken control of the central chamber. The great tree burned behind them. Vrak stood high on a platform of bones, shouting over the flames. He fooled you. He tricked our minds. He eats beasts and claims wisdom. He will destroy our ways. Some in the crowd cheered. Others stood frozen. And then Ayla walked into the flames. Alone. Smoke swirled around him like a crown. Light flashed behind his back, casting a long shadowed figure. I never asked to be your leader, Eli said loudly. I never asked for your trust. I only wanted to survive. He stopped in the middle of the circle, between rebels and loyalists, but survival showed me something. Your people are strong, not because of your weapons or rules, but because you're willing to grow. He pulled a cloth from his pouch. Wrapped in it was a piece of hydra lion meat, dried and smoked. He held it up. You feared this, he said. You feared it because it was unknown, wild, dangerous, but I faced it, I tasted it, and I lived. He tossed the meat into the fire, and now I give it to the flames. Let your fear burn with it. The rebels hesitated. The crowd murmured. Single quotes. Laya stepped forward. You call him an outsider, she shouted, but he bled for us. Fought for us, changed for us. She looked at Vrak. You fear him because he showed us we are more than what we were. Vrak growled. He is not one of us. Eli stepped forward. Then test me again. He dropped his spear. No traps, no tricks. Just truth. Vrak leapt from the platform with a roar, swinging his blade. Eli dodged, ducked low, and grabbed Vrak's arm. The two men struggled in the firelight, the tribe watching, breathless. Vrak slammed Eli to the ground, but Eli rolled, using Vrak's weight against him. Kalia cried out as Vrak raised his blade, but Eli didn't strike. Instead, he grabbed a nearby burning branch and threw it not at Vrak, but at the rebel flag behind him. The rebel banner caught fire. Vrak turned too late. The flames roared behind him. His followers, now unsure, began to scatter. The symbol of their rebellion turned to ash before their eyes. Vrak tried to swing again, but Eli grabbed his wrist and whispered, "It's over." Vrak collapsed. The warden, who had been hidden with the elders during the chaos, stepped forward. He looked at the burning banner, then at Eli. He said nothing. Instead, he dropped to one knee. The rest of the tribe followed. Later, when the fires were out and the wounded were cared for, a feast was prepared. But this was not a feast of victory. It was a feast of beasts named after the ones they feared, the ones they once worshipped, and the ones they now understood. Eli sat beside Kalia. "Quiet. You could lead them now," she said softly. "I don't want to rule," he answered. "I want them to lead themselves." She smiled. "Then they'll follow you even more." At the center of the valley, the tribe shared food, stories, and songs, both old and new. The warden lifted a cup and said, "We feared the jungle until a man made it his home. We feared beasts until he shared their strength. We feared change until we saw it become hope." He turned to Eli. "You were not born Zirari, but you became more than that." Kalia raised her hand. "He is not just a warrior, not just a survivor. He is a bridge between worlds." The people cheered, but Eli only looked at the jungle beyond and whispered, "I'm just a man, but sometimes that's enough."